All right, let's just jump right in. Have you ever been outside on a beautiful, clear day? You look up, see a plane flying overhead, and you notice that long white line it leaves behind? And have you ever had that little thought, what if that's not just a cloud?
Wow. I mean, this quote just nails it, doesn't it? That exact moment when everything shifts. For some people, it's the moment the world you thought you knew suddenly feels like it's hiding something huge. And that's a feeling that, once you have it, is really, really hard to shake.
So that's the big question, right? What is the real story here? And that's what we're going to dig into. We're going to look at the science, sure, but also the psychology and the whole story behind what's become one of the most persistent ideas of our time.
So, first up, a secret in the sky. To really get a handle on this, we have to start with the story itself. Because, this isn't just a claim, it's a full-blown narrative. It's got this almost movie-like quality to it that's really hard to look away from.
And the idea, at its heart, is both simple and incredibly powerful. Those white lines streaking across the sky, they're not just harmless frozen water. No. The theory is that they're actually chemtrails, a secret, deliberate spray of chemical agents. And for what purpose? Well, that depends on who you talk to. It could be anything from controlling the weather to, controlling people. It's the kind of idea that makes you feel like you've just stumbled onto a massive secret.
Okay, so what this leaves us with are two completely different stories trying to explain the exact same thing we see up there. You've got one story rooted in atmospheric physics and another one rooted in a massive global secret. So let's start with the scientific explanation. It's contrails, which is just short for condensation trails. And honestly, the best way to think about it is like seeing your own breath on a really cold day. You've got this hot, moist exhaust coming out of a jet engine, and it hits that super cold high-altitude air, and boom, the water vapor just instantly freezes into a line of tiny, tiny ice crystals. A man-made cloud, basically.
In this slide, this lays it out perfectly. You can see the two narratives side by side. On one side, contrails, a totally observable physical process. But on the other, you have chemtrails, a deliberate secret operation. See the difference? One is all about weather conditions, the other is all about human intention. Now here's something that might surprise you. These really long-lasting trails that hang in the air, they are not a new thing, at all. In fact, you can find reports from pilots and soldiers back in World War II describing the exact same thing, lines hanging in the sky for hours. And this was, decades before the internet, decades before the word chemtrail was even a thing. All right, so we've got our two stories. Now let's actually follow the evidence and see where it takes us. Okay, so one of the most powerful pieces of evidence that people point to is this. The sky sometimes looks like a giant chessboard, right? You see all these crisscrossing lines, and your brain immediately goes, whoa, hold on, that can't be random. It looks so intentional, like someone's playing tic-tac-toe up there. But it turns out there's a pretty straightforward reason for that pattern. Commercial airplanes don't just fly wherever they want. They follow these established routes, like invisible highways in the sky. So when you have a busy area, like over a major city, you've got tons of planes on similar paths. And if the atmospheric conditions are just right for those long-lasting contrails to form, well, you get a grid. It's not a secret plot, it's just air traffic. And then you've got to think about the logistics of it all. I mean, really think about it. For a secret global spraying program to be real, you would need tens of thousands of people to be on it and stay completely silent? Forever. We're talking pilots, mechanics, airport workers, scientists, the people who make the chemicals, the people who load the chemicals. The sheer scale of that kind of conspiracy, with zero credible leaks, it's almost impossible to imagine. So this leads to maybe the most important question of all. If the science doesn't really support it and the logistics seem impossible, why is the chemtrail story so convincing to so many people? Why does it stick?
Well, it turns out there's kind of a recipe for a powerful story like this. You can see the ingredients right here. First, you start with something real, something compelling you can see with your own two eyes. Then you add a healthy dose of distrust in authority, governments, big corporations, you name it. Step 3, you mix in our brain's natural, hardwired love for finding patterns, even in random noise. And then, for the final step, you pour on the rocket fuel, internet algorithms that figure out what you're interested in and then just feed you more and more and more of it.
And that really gets to the core argument you hear all the time. Just look with your own eyes. It's this appeal to your personal experience over some expert telling you what to think. And it's incredibly powerful because it makes you the authority. You're the one who saw it.
But here's the thing, our eyes are incredible, but they have limits. Can your eyes see the exact temperature at 30,000 feet? Can they see the air pressure, the humidity levels, or the precise flight route data from air traffic control? Of course not. So seeing a line in the sky is just step one. Understanding why the line is there and why it behaves the way it does, that requires a lot more data than our eyes alone can give us.
So, where does this all leave us? Well, it seems to come down to a choice, really. A choice between a story that feeds our anxiety and a process that actually builds understanding.
And this is a really key point. Getting caught up in a secret spraying program can actually be a huge distraction from the very real, very documented environmental issues that aviation does cause. I mean, we know for a fact that airplanes are responsible for about 2.5% of global CO2 emissions, and that's not even mentioning things like nitrogen oxides and soot. These are measurable things with known effects on our climate and our health. Those are the conversations we should be having based on verifiable science.
So when you're out there scrolling online and you come across something like this, here are a few practical habits you can use. Just ask yourself, what would this actually take in terms of money and people? Does this supposed secret grid actually line up with public flight maps? You can check that stuff. And notice the language. Is it super intense and emotional but vague on the actual specifics? And maybe most importantly, always keep this simple question in your back pocket. What if this really is just water and ice?
And you know, there's a good life lesson in there. The real world is, well, it's complicated, it's messy. Any answer that claims to explain everything, every weird cloud, why you feel sick today, every political move, that kind of simple all-in-one answer, it usually explains nothing at all. It gives you a feeling of certainty, which feels good, but it's not the same as real understanding.
So in the end, the story we choose to believe, it really matters. The sky above our heads is this amazing complex place. And the final question for all of us is, what do we want our minds to be breathing in? Do we want to breathe in this invisible panic, or do we want to breathe in a little more understanding?